All right, people, welcome to another episode of Natty News Daily. We've got a special guest on. Very excited to do this. We're here with Marc Tauriello, the man that's running the Mr. America. Welcome, man.
How's it going? All right.
Good.
How's it going, guys?
Very, very good.
Oh, wow.
Good.
So let's start with yourself, your history with bodybuilding. What's got you into this crazy world that we live in?
21, 22 years ago, I got into the industry after watching my brother. He was about 6 years older than me. So as a little kid, I used to, read his magazines, and I'd sneak down in the basement and watch him work out and everything. And he actually walked around with a nickname. His nickname was Abs. So I felt like I had a lot to live up to growing up.
Sure.
And, fast forward, I became an adult, and I found myself, as a trainer. That was 22 years ago now. Yeah.
Like a personal trainer?
Yeah, I do personal training, coaching,
Yep.
licensed nutritionist.
Cool.
So that kind of threw me right into the world. In the gym I started out Strong and Shapely in East Rutherford, New Jersey, which at the time was probably one of the East Coast's most hardcore type of gyms. Every bodybuilder was there at some point for one reason or another.
Yep.
The owner promoted tons of shows, so I was around a lot of people for a long time.
Oh, that's sweet. So you started in that kind of realm. Then what?
1999, yeah.
1999. I'm gonna be funny right now and tell you that I was 4 or 5 years old at the time.
Right.
So what brought you to
6
bodybuilding then? When did you start to get into the bodybuilding side of things?
So after I guess after my first 2 years working as a trainer, after my first year working as a trainer, something was missing. So I went to school for nutrition because I realized I put people through some good workouts, but there's something missing here, and it was the nutrition aspect of it.
Yep.
So I got into that, and then once I got my license in sports nutrition, I started training people for physique contests. That was, I guess, 2001, and ever since then, you would just keep on going.
For sure. Did you right when you got into the physique side of things, you were hooked?
No. I'd like to say that's not even what I do full time, because I do work with a lot of general population clients. But yeah, being thrust into that world, it was a lot more fun than the general pop clients, right? Because now I had a deadline to meet, right?
Yeah.
You're prepping for a show. You have a deadline, so come hell or high water, you better be ready.
Yeah.
Where a general pop client, that's not so much the case.
For sure.
I always like that challenge of it.
Yeah. That's I think a lot of people that coach, like myself included, there's a bit of more of a, I guess we'll call it just intensity when it comes to competitors, right? Because you're right, you have that deadline, whether it's 10, 4, 12, 16, 18, 30 weeks out.
Right.
You have eventually you better be ready, like you said.
Yeah.
It's not quite as open-ended. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go to, so I'm gonna be the one to say I don't know a whole lot about the Mr. America.
Okay.
I'm from Canada, so the history of the competition I really don't know much about. So give me kind of the soap notes of where it originated and all that good stuff.
Okay, so in 1939, the Mr. America was the first bodybuilding, organized bodybuilding contest in the country.
Oh wow!
And it was actually put in place to rival the Miss America competition, but for men, right?
Okay.
So when that first started, you had guys, getting on stage. They didn't know posing or why they were doing what they were doing, and same as now. You had a judging panel, and they would pick the best built man, and that's actually what the contest was originally called, was America's Best Built Man.
Because Miss America, you'd be
Mr. America,
but
yes, Miss America is referencing the pageant.
Yeah, so modeling, right?
Right.
Okay, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Right. So yes, that was 1937. So 1939, the AAU came in to make it more of an organized event. They put some judging criteria to it. They put a point system behind it. So this way, the people that were judging, like now, you recognize a competitor, like, oh, that's my friend, I'll put him in first place. Yeah. So they had that problem then.
Okay.
Right. So here we are 82 years later, and that could still play a role sometimes,
For sure.
So yeah, so that was 1939, and fast forward, here we are, 82 years later. It disappeared in 1999 for a couple years.
Okay.
Came back, and it was with the INBF for 2 years. Fell off again, and then in 2015, the title was available. Guy bought it. He ran the show 2015 and 2016, once in Rochester, New York, and which is close to Canada, and then the second time was down in Maryland at Six Flags in 2016. I was at the 2016 show, and it was a show like when you were there, you felt bodybuilding, like you go to a local show and it's fun, you have the sights and the sounds and the smells, and with the Mr. America, you felt something different was happening.
Okay.
So I fell in love with the show, and I was already promoting at that time. 2017, it was supposed to be back.
Who were you? Were you independently promoting, or
no? I was promoting with the NGA at the time.
Okay.
So and they had something to do with the 2016 event. A few national organizations did, but the NGA was like the sanction for it at the time.
Gotcha.
2017 came along, and they were supposed to have the event again, and whatever happened, and it stopped running.
Right.
So 2 years ago, I was leaving the Natural Olympia, and I'm like, you know what our sport needs? We need the Mr. America back. And I'm the guy that gets something in my head, and I'm not going to stop until it happens.
Yeah.
We need the Mr. America. I'm going to get it come hell or high water and make it happen.
That's awesome.
That's where we are now.
And you are independently promoting this show then, correct?
Yeah. So
what led you to that decision?
So I normally promote with the INBA, PNBA right now. I run a couple other shows throughout the year. But the Mr. America, the title means so much, and it represents so much as a whole, that I felt it wouldn't be fair to the title to have it locked down with just one organization. There's too much infighting in natural bodybuilding between organizations. Athletes compete in one organization. They've never even heard of somebody from another organization. So I said, what better way to bring the best of the best together on one stage, give them a platform to perform on for the best title there is. So which is.
So would you say then you're trying to get the best from everywhere, because you accept pros from all organizations?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely. That's the idea. The Mr. America is a title that, there's people out there that win the worlds in 4 or 5 different organizations, but which one of those actually represented the world, right? So that's part of the problem. So the Mr. America, you win the Mr. America, regardless of your division, you're the top dog.
That's interesting, because that's something that we've, especially us, like through this podcast, we've talked to a lot of people about that, to have, there's so many organizations that, who is the best of the best, right? Is it the Yorton Cup winner? Is it the WNBF Worlds winner? Is it the Natural Olympia winner? Who's the top dog, right? And that's something you're trying to accomplish then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like our sport needs this right now. There's too much division. Every year another organization pops up, or 2 organizations pop up. We're only separating and dividing our sport. We're not making it bigger. We're not making it better for the athletes. We're only creating more confusion for them.
No, for sure, right? Because you have so many different avenues to compete in, and so many different, pro cards to earn, and who's a pro here? Well, maybe they're, people don't feel they're good enough pro here, so they go here. Like you're right. There's more division than there really needs to be, and it makes things confusing. Whereas, you look at the enhanced side of the sport, Mr. Olympia, that's guy.
The one, right? There's only one. There's only one. And that's part of the problem in our sport. Everybody's a world champion in different divisions or different organizations. So who really is the world champion? Who really is the best in our country in bodybuilding or in men's physique? So here's a platform. You don't have to pay for an athlete card or a membership. There's no fees like that associated with Mr. America. As long as you have a valid pro card in another organization, you show that to us at check-in, you're good to go.
A question I have, do you accept like not Americans? Like, of me being in Canada, could I come do it?
Absolutely.
Noted.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, because that was honestly something that a few people had asked me. They're like, "Oh, Mr. America." Well, what if I'm not a U.S. citizen? Am I uneligible? So that's very
if you hey, listen, if you're not a U.S. citizen and you come here and win, it is what it is.
That'd be quite the story, someone from another country is
yeah. So
America.
so if you're out there
Marking
and you're
a flag
competing in Mr. America,
yeah,
we'll have to give you a Canadian flag when you get here. If you're gonna come compete in the Mr. America, you better be ready. You better be ready.
I'll wear my red and white maple leaf trunks.
Right.
A question I had from somebody was regarding classic physique and your decision to add that in.
Classic physique, the natural bodybuilding world didn't start classic physique, right? The NPC and the IFBB did, because there was competitors that just couldn't be competitive with a guy at 280 pounds. So they added it in, and natural bodybuilding seems to follow what the IFBB and NPC does.
Yep.
But then they'll talk down about it.
Right.
But, classic right now, it's big, it's booming. Yep. The class is double the size, or actually more than double the size that it was last year right now.
Wow.
Part of running a show is essentially it's a business, right? So I have to listen to my customers, which would be the competitors.
Yep.
And, if the customers are looking for something, why wouldn't you provide that platform?
No, for sure. Yeah, from a business standpoint, right? Like, we can argue till we're blue in the face whether or not classic belongs in natural bodybuilding, but the demand, you can't deny it. The demand is there, and you see a lot of people that, first time competitors, they just want to do classic because maybe they feel they're not big enough for bodybuilding, or they are attracted to that look. I mean, Chris Bumstead's got 4 million followers. Like, that's not by accident.
Right. I don't want to hash it out, but people are like, natural bodybuilding is classic bodybuilding. But if you look at the top level guys in our sport, the bodybuilders versus the classic guys, there's a clear separation there.
For sure.
Right?
There's
maybe on a smaller local level, you don't see that separation.
Yep.
But when you're at the top, there's definitely separation there, and I'm fine with having two classes like that.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you look at because so Joe won last year and Jay Brew, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, different looks, right? There's no denying
Absolutely. Definitely different looks. Two totally different packages, two different styles.
Yep.
It's there's enough separation there. There's room for both.
For sure. Another one was regarding classic physique, the poses. They didn't really specify. Ask him if the classic physique mandatories will be like regular, or will they be like the IPE mandatories. So the IPE, they have like I think they call like the mantis pose, and they call a vacuum pose.
Yeah, yep. We call a vacuum pose. We'll call a victory pose, but everything else is pretty standard.
Okay.
Your routine in classic is heavily weighted, so
good.
That's your time to shine.
Yep.
Right? I think it's worth like almost 20% of your score, or maybe more. But it's definitely heavily weighted. So
is it
that's your time to shine. Bring out all those classic poses. Stay away from the bodybuilding poses, and definitely separate yourself that way.
Is it weighted more than open bodybuilding?
The posing?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good.
I'm taking mental notes right now.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Classic over there.
All right. Are you getting ready?
I haven't officially announced anything.
Hey, we're here for this. Let's make announcements. Let's break it down.
Dan, fire it up.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot.
Oh
now.
Yeah, we're gonna make you blush, bud.
I know. I am looking to compete this year. So
at the Mr. America?
Mr. America is one of the shows that's kind of on my radar. I have a very hectic work schedule in September, October, so I have to tidy up and make sure that it's feasible for me, but it is certainly on my schedule. And I will note that I have my pro card in the OCB. I competed in Classic, but as listening to you, our Classic in the OCB is run a little bit differently than in terms of like the posing, how it's scored, the mandatories, than the Mr. America. So I'm kind of taking mental notes right now on whether I'd want to compete in bodybuilding, compete Classic.
The criteria and the poses are all listed on our website at MrAmerica.com. So you can go on there and see our judging criteria and everything.
Terrific.
Do you intend to have the show traveling around?
Yes and no. So Atlantic City, New Jersey is going to be its home. We are in talks of moving it 1 year out to somewhere else for a year, just because of sponsors and stuff like that. They want to have it part of something else.
Fair.
Logistically, I can handle doing that 1 year. I can't do that every year.
Yep.
But yeah, I think all big shows, they should have a home, right? You should know when you're going there, what you're going to get. If you're going to Pittsburgh, you know what's happening in Pittsburgh. If you're going to, Phoenix, Arizona, you should know what's in Phoenix, Arizona. Every year can't be a crapshoot. Whether the hotel's good or the venue's good or the lighting's good or there's good restaurants or entertainment to go to after the show.
Yep.
So having it in a home makes life a lot better for everybody involved.
Yeah, agreed.
That's just my thought. I don't know.
I tend to agree with that, just because, I mean, if you're altering the venue every year or whatever, I mean, you're constantly having to figure out how to make like the show itself presentable.
Yeah,
I mean,
So
get the lighting right, get the photography
through.
right, get the all those things. Like, I mean, it's a visual sports. Like, those things have to be on. So, and then if you're doing it at the same venue every year, you can refine every year and tweak and fine tune. And
we were at a different location. We were in Atlantic City last year. We were at the Sheraton, but now we're going into the Showboat. So in the Sheraton, we had like a constructed stage, so platform 18 inches off the ground, which I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but I don't hate it either. It is what it is. But I wanted an actual stage. I could do more with it. I can make it more visually appealing, and there's much more room for you to perform on stage.
Yeah.
So we're adding things to what the stage looks like this year because we have the ability to do that now. And I'm already planning for down the road. Like, okay, I'm adding this year. Next year, I could add 2 other things to that.
You seem to have a lot of passion for the presentation of the show.
Listen, presentation's everything, right? Especially in bodybuilding, even presenting your body, that's everything, right? So if you're going to pay me, what's the registration? $235. You need to come and feel like you're getting something for it, right? And as a pro athlete, you need to be treated like a pro. A lot of shows guys go to, you're not treated like a pro. You're in a shitty venue. You're in a junior high school auditorium with, rickety old wooden seats and, piss poor lighting and, the urinals halfway down to your ankles because it's for little kids. Like, you need to be treated like a professional. So it's my job as a promoter to make sure I present that to you and give you that respect and give you that venue to perform on.
That's, as Dan and I both athletes, that's very nice to hear because we've had numerous conversations about, well, Dan can attest to this. He's got some show photos from his previous season that he's
I won my pro card and I'm like, the photos are trash. The lighting was trash. It was just, it was a little bit of a rickety show. I mean, not that it was a terrible show, but it was a little bit of a rickety show. And, my photos from my first show are the ones that I post all of them, but I look substantially better at my second show. But I can't see that.
The lighting is always, I don't want to say always an issue, but it's an issue a lot for guys. They if they go into a school, say in the summertime, there's no school, there's only one custodian working, and you find out that 12 of the 60 bulbs are out, which all happen to be on the center stage. Right now, you have the head judge telling you, "Let me get the line. Take 3 steps to the left. Take 3 more steps to the left." You can't do that. Come on, center stage has got to be lit. It's got to be lit right. There's too much at stake here. Like, you guys put 16, 20 weeks in prepping for a show. You want your balls busted on stage that you got to move around to try to find better light. I hate when I hear a judge say, "Hey, we're going to move number 3 over here to the end. We want to get you in better light." What's wrong with the light where I am? Why is the light bad where I'm standing? Like, who put this show together? You'll never go see the Rockettes on Broadway and somebody's telling all the Rockettes to move to the other side of the stage because the lighting was better.
Yeah.
Come on, we have to start treating these events like actual sporting events. Promoters have to stop putting their hands out, and instead putting their hands out, they need to put their hands in their pockets and starting to pay up. Put a quality show on.
Yeah, well, that's what I saw in my 2018 season, because I had those 2 shows. In the first show, they did what you said, they actually tested the lighting. They went down and made sure that the lighting was good on stage and
Right.
everything was situated, and the photos
They came
reflected
out
it.
great.
They
Right.
came out
Well,
they came out phenomenal, and they hired a
sometimes
great
it's the photographer though too.
That was
Right.
the other thing. They've hired a professional photographer. The second show didn't. So like the first
Right.
show, they did everything right in terms of presentation. The second show,
Right.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
we
little.
have
It
we
was
have
a
a
little more.
professional
Yeah.
photographer coming in that we used last year. I actually use them all the time for stuff. I haven't found a better fitness photographer, you know. So everybody will be happy with the pictures. They're not overly edited like some of the stuff that you see out there where the people look a little bit cartoonish.
Yeah.
You know, again, that's one of those things that the photographer now is in the game, putting their hand out, like, hey, I'm going to give you these kick-ass pictures, but it's $250.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
Yep.
you guys aren't the cash cow behind this. You know, you want pictures, you can pay for pictures, great, but everybody's got their hand out every time you turn around in our sport, and that's just it's not a fair thing.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of effort is going into making it, you know, what you're trying to make it, and kind of the premier natural bodybuilding event, which is,
Right.
you know, athletes coming to the show. So you get the best athletes, like, okay, that's step one. But, you know,
Right.
you're getting good lighting, good photography, good stage presentation. Like all of that is what makes
Right.
the event just, you know, as important as
Right.
the athletes are, the event needs to accommodate, like you said, you want it to be a premier event. You want it to be treated like one. So you've got to match that, right?
Right. Right. You know, we have, you know, professional MC that comes in and that does all our announcing for us. You know, we have a DJ, you know, we don't have somebody just sitting on the side of the stage with their computer, you know, just trying to play music for people. You know, everything that I could think of that needs to be done gets done. Right. We're switching over to third-party drug testing. So this way I don't have to have
my
staff.
next question.
Right. This way I don't have to have my staff worrying about collecting urine and, you know, chain of custody issues, or they filled out the paperwork wrong, or, you know, they spilled the urine on the floor while putting it in an envelope. Like, I want no issues. So I went a step further. It's going to cost me more money, whatever. That's fine. But it's going to be done, and it's going to be done right.
And that's all WADA approved?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the testing procedure then? Is it all winners? Is it every competitor?
So I'm trying to do random and targeted. So targeted, yeah, your winners would fall underneath targeted, right? Yep. Random would be just what it says, random. And that's not up to me, that's up to the collection people, right?
Okay.
This is what they do, you know. They come in and you look suspect or whatever, like,
yep,
let's go, time to pee.
Come on over.
Yeah.
Are you do polygraph or no?
No.
Okay.
No, and I'll tell you why. I don't mind saying this publicly. I've never have before, so this is going to be a little exciting.
That's just what we need.
Right. So in two instances, I had a client, the first time this happened to me, I had a client that I was training. It was her first competition. It was just like a bucket list thing for her to do. She just got out of the military, and she's like, I want to do a competition before I have a baby. Cool, let's go for it.
Yep.
So, you know, we're going through her prep. She asked me, is it okay if she adds a fat burner in? I said, okay, what do you want to take? You know, I don't think we need it, but what do you want to take? And she goes, I don't know. I've just been doing some research, and I was in some forums, and, you know, a lot of the girls are saying I should use this particular fat burner, but I don't remember what it's called. I'm like, all right, you know, give it a shot. Let's see what, you know, take it for 2 weeks. Let's see how you feel. So she never told me she got it. And I asked her like 3 weeks later, I'm like, hey, did you ever start that fat burner? She goes, oh, no, it didn't come yet. I said, okay. So we're about 4 to 6 weeks prior to the show. I forget about it. She never brings it up. I'm like, she got beat online, right? So we go to the show, and, you know, she does her polygraph, passes her polygraph, gets on stage. She was the only person in her class, so, you know, she wins. After the show, I'm like, you know, how do you feel? Do you want to do it again? She goes, you know, I just really didn't like the way the fat burner made me feel. So I'm like, oh, you got it. You never even told me. So I'm like, what was it? She goes, it was clenbuterol. I'm like, wow. So that's a banned substance. You know, we can't be using that. And she goes, yeah, they asked if I was using anything like that. And I just told them no, because I wasn't sure if it was the same thing that I was taking. So here you are, somebody admittedly taking clenbuterol, passes. All right. Fast forward a year later, Woman gets on stage who was juiced to the hilt. She was in her mid to late 40s. She didn't give a shit. She just wanted to get on stage, right? Come to find out, she was taking, you ready for this? Primobolan, Anavar, Winstrol, T3, and tamoxifen. Then, 4 weeks prior to the show, she started a cycle of Clen. Passed the polygraph.
No wonder she was shredded.
Right, wins the show. But my point is, she passed the polygraph. Nobody questioned it, and she didn't look that great where you're like, holy shit. She looked good, but like, you know, she wouldn't do well on a pro stage anywhere. But here you are, you passed the polygraph. So at that point, that's actually when I left the organization I used to promote with and went to the INBA because of their strict testing. I don't want that for my clients. I don't want my clients competing against somebody like that, right? Like, I want to be a level playing field as possible.
You play by the rules, yeah.
And that's the idea, right? That's what they tell you growing up, right? Play by the rules.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's like there's no hate. Like if you want to compete in the IFBB, but like
do what you want.
If you want to compete in a test organization, like you play by the rules. Like that is the rule of the game, you know?
Right.
Like
right.
If it's just unethical to not play by the rules.
Yeah, it's disheartening for the people that take second or third or fourth place to somebody who was using, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's fucking wrong on all levels.
Yeah, that's the thing where, you know, bodybuilding's, you know, is the sport where there is two sides, right?
Right.
No other sport like football, hockey, baseball, there's mixed match. It is what it is. Some guys are going to take stuff, some aren't. In bodybuilding, there's two divisions. We'll play over here, so you play over here, and we don't need to argue about anything.
I brought up a point. I don't know if you guys heard it. I think maybe, I don't know if Brandon talked about it at all. You know, I said, why are we making ourselves the minority by classifying us as natural bodybuilders? How come we're not forcing the other side to say that they're enhanced bodybuilders? Why not? Yeah. You know, and you know, part of the problem with natural bodybuilding right now is because it's such a small community. It's hard to get sponsors. I'm doing this on such a huge scale that I'm hearing from large companies asking, like, what organization is this with? Right? And you have to go through the whole thing, like, hey, so it's non-sanctioned, and yes, there's all these organizations, because they don't want to put their money behind just one organization, or, you know, this is a once-a-year event, so I have to sell that. Like, why should you put your money with me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all inclusive. That's a huge thing. Yeah, let's not minimize what we do. We're actual bodybuilders, right? You're working day in and day out to actually build your body. You know, we're not using, you know, synthol or you know, anything like that to just look a certain way on stage for a couple days.
Sounds like you want to do a lot of good for the sport.
That's the idea. That's the idea. You know, this is what I do full time. You know, I've been doing this 22 years now. You know, I've had houses and cars, and, you know, successful at what I do as a trainer and a coach. And my athletes, I want more for them. You know, I don't want to show up to a stage that is being lit with construction lights. I don't want to show up to a stage where, you know, there's only 3 judges there because the show is small. You know, I don't care if it's a small show, but I still want, if there's supposed to be 5 or 7 judges, I want 5 or 7 judges. If you're supposed to have good lighting, right? Because everyone says, you know, the lighting could make or break your physique. Well, I want there to be good lighting, not construction lights shining up at you. That's the worst look ever. And organizations are doing it, promoters are doing it, and people keep going back supporting that. So the longer you allow that to happen, the more it's going to keep happening, and it makes the sport worse, not better.
Absolutely.
Right? So if I could set the bar for what I do higher, maybe other people will start to bring theirs up a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it is a good idea. To raise the standard, keep the standard high. And a question kind of going back to drug testing. So specifically within the OCB, if you're competing in an event as a pro,
right,
in close proximity to an OCB pro event, they require you to submit your results from your drug test. So all right, to clarify, open that up.
Yeah, let's clarify.
You guys provide that, because I know a lot of athletes are. I know Brandon wants to do Mr. America and the Yorton.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm looking at as well.
Right. So the issue is, I have no problem. I want everybody that gets tested, they're going to get their results. Okay, that's number one. Number two, last year that came up a couple times. The OCB wanted test results from the people that were competing in their show. Well, not all the people that competed in the Mr. America that were doing their show were tested.
Right.
It's random and targeted. They don't test every single person. I mean, you know, they use the polygraph, but not everybody's urine tested. But let me ask you a question. How can an organization impose such a rule on another organization or another promoter for them to say, well, if you're going to compete somewhere else, you have to give us your drug test? What if you come in dead last? What if you look like absolute dog shit and we're just like, get this guy off stage? Like, I'm not going to test somebody like that. I'm going to spend $250 or $300 testing somebody that clearly didn't diet a day in their life just because they're going to compete somewhere else. So the OCB is putting, you know, a burden on the athlete, right?
Yeah, I'm personally not a fan of it. They announced, like, and a lot of people, you know, a lot of people like to compete in NPC shows. Basically, that restricts you.
That's what the rule was put. That was essentially
that was kind of where it was. Yeah, but they put it in place in like the last year, and I know they got support. I was absolutely not a fan of it, and I say that as OCB pro, but I'm going to be blunt and honest. I'm not going to kiss ass on that.
So again, you're the customer, right? You're paying them, you know, your $150 for your athlete card, your $200 for your registration, your $50 for your polygraph, right? Your friends and your families are buying tickets, supporting them. And then they're going to go and say, oh, well, where's your test results? If you don't have your test results from your last show, you can't compete here. You're paying them. They're not paying you.
Yeah.
Or if they're paying you a salary, then they can impose some rules on you, just like anything else in the world, right? Your boss could say, hey, I need you to wear a red shirt on Wednesdays to work. And I need you to wear, you know, blue shoes on Fridays. They could do that.
Yeah.
But we're paying these people, right? You're paying me. How could I impose such a crazy, ridiculous rule on you?
Yeah.
Right.
And for the record, I intend to play by that rule because I want to compete in the ordinary. But I'm not a fan of it. So, you know, you don't like every rule that's imposed on you. Sometimes you
so listen, so I'm going to do my best to test people that I know are going on to the UR because it's like 2 weeks later. I'm going to do my best to do that. Will I get everybody? No. I don't know what percentage of the show we're testing or how many tests it comes out to be. But like right now, I mean, we have a lot of OCB people competing, right? So you have to pick and choose your battles, you know, from there. But if you're not tested, you're not tested. That's it, right? They're testing you the day of the show with the polygraph anyway.
Yeah.
So if they believe in their testing procedures, they shouldn't really worry about what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, well, they do test the winners for the year-end testing.
Right.
Right.
So I mean,
it's not across the board.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I have no problem sharing that and helping people out. You know, our results should be back within a week or two, so you should have it in time anyway. And I'll get them right out to all the athletes.
That's good to know, and I'm sure I'm not the only one with that question.
No, you're not the only one who's asked about that.
Yep. Awesome, man. I guess before we get cut on time here, closing words from me. A, very nice to finally talk to you, and B, I'm really excited for what you're doing to the sport. I think it's going to be great, you know, with us trying to do this whole Natty News thing and really promote natural bodybuilding, promote shows, promote athletes. I think, you know, conversations like this are going to be very, very beneficial. So anything we can do to help you, please let us know.
Yeah, just, you know, help get the word out, you know, let everyone know what we're doing, what we're about. And, you know, it should go well.
Awesome.
It should go well. But, you know,
quickly,
I appreciate the kind words that you said, you know, everything I'm doing for the sport. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for you guys.
Yep.
Right. So if it wasn't for guys like you and you know, all the other athletes out there, I have no reason to do this. Right. It's not benefiting me, you know. So last year we lost close to $30,000. This year, everything we're doing with all the TV stuff and the reality show and the event itself is costing close to $300,000. I'm not going to make that money back, but if down the road it pays off and makes our sport better, right? I'm happy. That's at the end of the day, that's what my goal is. We have to make the sport better.
Awesome. That's
we appreciate that. That's for sure.
For sure.
Excellent.
Where can people find all the information about Mr. America?
Right on MrAmerica.com. And tomorrow night we're going to be on CBS Sports Network. We're going to be on all the streaming apps.
That's right.
You go to download the CBS Sports app, and you'll be able to see us 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Amazing. Thank you, man. Appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Mark.
Great.
Thanks everybody for watching. If you like this episode, please like it. And if you're doing the Mr. America, please let us know. We'll see you guys in the next one.